Join. All right, now we're recording. So if you're watching this on replay, you missed the introduction here, but that's okay. I almost didn't record this, so you're welcome. I remembered and pressed record. So now, without further ado, Taylor Lake, if you want to jump in and just share a few words about yourself.
Yeah, so as Brian mentioned, I worked for the Carolina Hurricanes for 5 years, and then worked for Wasserman Media Group, and I handled a lot of corporate partnership activation, anywhere from TV, radio, in-arena, social media, anything dealing with any of the corporate partners with the Hurricanes for quite a while. Decided that I wanted to have more me time, so I got into real estate because that makes sense, right? No, but it's okay. I love it a lot more. So when I started real estate, I knew that after my time doing cold calls for the Hurricanes, which is 80 to 100 phone calls per day, and it was when they were in this drought for the playoffs, so no one wanted to come to our games. I realized cold calling wasn't my thing. So when I got into real estate and was talking to people and they were saying, okay, you need to just be calling people daily, I was like, no, not my thing. Not how I want to run my business. Been there, done that, not for me. So I was trying to figure out what to do. So I decided Instagram was going to be my best friend, and I put together a little presentation that sort of goes over my thoughts. So share my screen here and sort of run through it. So you're probably not going to agree with everything I say today, and that is okay. We're each running our business differently, and we have different followers, different clients, different bases that we're trying to reach, and that's okay. I'm going to basically tell you what's working for me and what I'm doing and what I suggest to other people to do, but that's just because I've seen it work. So I will, first of all, not take all the credit for everything that you see on my social media page. Myself, Megan, who's on this call, and Ashley, well, I handle some of Ashley's social media in case you guys didn't know that, but we're all members of the Modern Agent Social Club. It is a monthly membership that Chelsea Peterson, who's on here, has created. About a month into real estate, I did one of her free courses just to learn a bit more about the strategy behind it. So if you're not following these two groups, definitely something to follow. I can share their handles here in a little bit as well. But they've taught a lot about strategy, and it was all things that I had previously learned, but it just re-ingrained it. Also, they give content for the month. I try not to do the same cookie cutter stuff that she posts, but she helps promote my creativity, which if you look at mine, Megan's and Ashley's pages, they're all very different, but some of the content and I guess the background on it's very similar. One thing that I will hammer home on is you don't need to be on every platform. You don't need to be on TikTok. You don't need to be on YouTube. You don't need to be on Twitter and all of these pages. Pick what works for you and run with it. You don't need to put a little bit out into everything. With that being said, I do have a business Facebook account and I do have a business Instagram account. I do have Pinterest, I do have Twitter. Those are for personal. Do I post business stuff on there? Maybe every once in a while, but my main focus is my Instagram account while also nurturing my Facebook business account.
So do you think those are like the best ones? I mean, is there a best?
It depends. I mean, there's some people that I've seen that are very great at video. I personally hate public speaking, but they have a YouTube channel that they've gotten more followers and things on, which is great. It's whatever works for you and wherever your followers are. I know right now I'm focused on a bunch of first-time home buyers and the main demographic of people that are on Instagram. So that's sort of what I'm geared towards.
Taylor, on that point,
Yeah.
to answer Brian's thing, I think that with some of the regulations that Facebook has enacted, in terms of targeting age and whatnot, you have to consider what the usership is on each platform.
Yeah.
And what Taylor's saying is that Instagram skews younger on that platform just as a whole, so the audience is younger.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got some clients that aren't on Instagram, but they're on Facebook, which is why I see the importance of having both. And we'll sort of hit on what I use each platform for here in a little bit too. So why Instagram? It works. It's worked for me in the past, I guess today's the 14th, the past 2 weeks of January, I've had 4 people reach out on Instagram ready to start their search. Now, with that being said, do I know them and have I known them before Instagram? Most of these people, yes. They're either from my hometown, from previous employers, from college, but would they have necessarily selected me as their agent? I would be willing to bet no. But because they've seen my presence and I've engaged with them on this platform, they think of me as a real estate expert, even though I've only been in real estate a little over a year. So, and like Brian mentioned, I believe it was yesterday, the second that they message me on here, the first thing I try and do is get them off Instagram, set up a buyer consultation. That way we can go through the buying process and it's, hey, I'm still professional in doing this. And I really try and hit home that I might not be the best fit for everyone, which is okay. So that's something I want to get to know them better too.
Can I just touch on something you said? Because anytime I coach with any agent, we always try to drive this point home, and it's what you've done really well in your first year plus in real estate, which is to make it so that your sphere of influence, your database identifies you as a real estate expert. You have lots of things that you're interested in and that you do and that truly define you as a person outside of real estate. But you want your database to identify you real estate first. So that if they saw you at the grocery store and couldn't remember your name, they were going to know that you were the real estate gal, right? And that's, I think, what you've really driven home here, that it doesn't matter that you haven't been in the business as long. Everybody identifies you now as the real estate expert. And that is huge. And some agents spend years creating that, identity. And you've, I think just made it happen a lot faster through Instagram. So
thank you. So this just sort of shows a chart. Over my first year, about 90% of my business came completely from referrals and social media. And some of those referrals, for instance, one of my clients came off social media, but I did a good enough job for her to where she sent me someone else. So I think that a lot of these have gone very hand in hand, but basically it works, at least in my opinion. These are some stats on what I try and keep up with. Obviously, your ultimate goal is you want your followers to grow. Big piece of advice, do not pay for followers ever. Do not do it. Whenever you sign up to buy followers, you're buying bots. If you're engaging with bots, then your content that you're putting out there is only going to get seen by bots. It's not going to get seen by the people that you want it to. You're going to get a lot of likes and comments probably, but they're not anything of substance for you. So what I really tried to do is go through my personal accounts, and every single person that I know, I try and follow them. Do I follow every single person? Probably not from my personal account, but I do try and follow as many as possible and try and focus more on people in the Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill surrounding areas that I can help. with that being said, I mean, I do follow people from my hometown because they can always send people to me. For instance, one of my sorority sisters lives in Georgia. She's sending me one of her best friends that's in the area that's going to start looking later this year. So you always want to be top of mind because then they can still send people to you. Something else that this shows is that when you put your face to your camera, the face of my brand is me. It's not anything else. And so when people become more familiar with you, then they're making that real estate association with you. You're not just showing a house every time, or you're not just showing an Instagram post with text on it. You want to be there so that they're associating you as being the expert. And typically I get a lot more engagement when either myself is in the picture, or if I post like celebration pictures with clients in it. People get more engagement based on what I've seen on my own numbers. So my approach to Facebook and Instagram are two totally different things. This is something that I picked up from Chelsea Peterson and I really enjoy, so I wanted to share it with you guys. You need to have a Facebook business account. Think of it like your Google page. People are going to look you up and make sure that you have reviews, you have experience, and that you're doing real estate. If they look you up on Facebook, which is like any other job outside of real estate, they're going to look you up and see what they can find out about you. So your Facebook business page is like your front of house. It needs to be like well maintained and upkept, but you don't have to post as much as possible. So I try and post when I go under contract, when I sell a house. I have my clients review me on here, and then I'll pull some of that to Instagram or share it off of Instagram. But it's just like, hey, I'm doing real estate is your focus on your Facebook business page. In my opinion, you all might not agree, but that's okay. So then when it comes to your Instagram account, this is a completely different approach. This is called the cocktail party approach. So when you go to a cocktail party, and this might offend people, and I'm sorry, but you don't stand on a table and shout, I'm in real estate, who has referrals for me? You're going around and mingling with people and having conversations with them. And if real estate gets brought up, then you talk about it. You're not standing there shouting at everybody to send you referrals. Like, did I used to post stuff on my account that was, I don't have any listings, like send them to me? Yes, but do I do that anymore? No. I want to provide value instead of just shouting. So this is an approach that I really find value in. Not everyone's going to agree, but that's okay. I still do add at the bottom of most of my captions, if you know someone, DM me, send me a message, something like that. So with that being said, we'll break down the parts of an Instagram page and what's important with each thing. So this is my page from the other day. So the top portion is your handle. Think of this as your website. You do not want to change this hardly ever. When I get married, I will change mine, but this is what's associated with you. Anytime someone's tagging you in a photo, they're tagging, in my case, Taylor Homes. So if you change your handle, you're losing all things associated with that. So if someone's written an article, if you've been in the news or anything and they've tagged your handle, you'll lose that if you change it. So keep that the same. Next is your profile picture. This is something very important whenever you're going through and seeing people share stories. It's that profile picture that comes across the top. So this is important to show like your brand. Like I said, my brand is me, it is my face. This is a clear picture of just me. You don't want to have other things in it. if you're a group, a team, if you prefer to have your logo, that's fine. Just make it a clear and concise thing that people can see and will recognize it as being yours. Next is your account name. So think of this almost as being like a Google search bar. So right now mine says Taylor Link Realtor. So this is what's popping up whenever you're messaging people. It's that account name. Something I'm probably going to change with mine is do Taylor Link Raleigh Realtor. That way, when people are going and searching profiles, if they search Raleigh Realtor, then I'm more likely to pop up because it's in that searchable term. Next is your bio. There's limited words that you can fit in there without having a click here for more. So I recommend keeping it clean and concise, but tell people what they're going to get for following you. So something that Chelsea Peterson hammers home is you need to have a few things that you're known for and that people are going to associate with you and tag you in outside of real estate. That way they're thinking about you in other scenarios. One thing that I really like is reality TV. I watch The Bachelor and Bachelorette, and my followers know that, and they tag me in things. So that's something that I'm trying to get ingrained in their heads as well. So my bio talks about making your real estate dreams a reality, a play in that. So it's in the Raleigh area. So I've got that hashtag. But then I also like home renovation and DIY projects. So I mentioned that in my next page. So that's showing them that they're going to get more than just real estate out of following me. The next thing is your site link. So I recommend linking back to the Choice website. You can have your URL in there. I use this app called Milkshake. There's other things called Linktree, where basically you can set it up to where you have multiple links that they can go through. So if you click on the link in my bio on Instagram, I have a blog, I link you to the Choice website, and right now I'm offering tech backgrounds that have my branding on it for my clients. So I have that on there. So that way people, when they're looking at their computer background, well, there's Taylor Link Homes always being top of mind. But that's just something that I have on there. Highlights is another thing. So Instagram stories last 24 hours. Highlights don't disappear unless you delete them. So I recommend having 5 highlights. That way it fills up the whole screen so your page looks complete. Now, every time you add to a highlight, it's going to come to the front. So you can edit them to reorder them how you want them, but I do recommend having 5. The next thing at the bottom, it's broken down into tabs, basically. So you've got your account grid. Next is Reels. There's also a place for guides. I haven't incorporated that. That is a goal for 2021. There's a tab for Instagram TV. I'm trying to get better at face to camera. I don't like that. I don't like public speaking, but that's something I'm going to work on for 2021. And then it has your tagged photos. One thing I will say is Instagram won't punish you for not playing their game, but they will reward you for playing their game. So if you want to give Reels a shot, give Reels a shot. It will increase your engagement and get in front of more people. Same with guides, same with Instagram TV. They will reward you, but they will not punish you for not doing it.
And what exactly is Reels again?
So Reels is basically like TikTok. It's like an Instagram story where you can add music over, you can add voiceovers, you can add text, but it's in like the Instagram story, the long video template. I do have a few attempts on my page where I've played with it, so you're welcome to go look at that at some point. I didn't add any of them into this presentation though.
Taylor, what was the guides part that you were talking about? I don't see that on here.
So I haven't created a guide yet. It's something I'm working on. So basically you can take different posts. So for instance, this month I'm focusing on finance for my Instagram account. I'm doing actually a finance challenge, and I'm teamed up with a local lender, and we're going to post next week. We're still finalizing everything, but I can take the posts after that and compile them into a guide. So it would be another tab across that besides the Reels button. And so you can add like a header. So I can say like finance advice or something, and then link each post in an order and add additional text about it. So that way, instead of if somebody misses something, but they want to go learn more about a certain topic, they can just go to your guides tab and you can have multiple things there.
Okay.
These are what you want to focus on. So your likes, your comments, your messages and shares, and then bookmarking posts, which is saving them for later. They go into a saved folder. This is how you increase your engagement. The best way to increase engagement is to engage with others. So it goes back to the don't pay for your followers. But whenever you're going to post, I recommend you can schedule and you can plan, but I highly recommend that you post yourself, because block off like 10 minutes and go and engage with other people when you're going to post. That way, if they're seeing you, then maybe they're going to your page and you're more likely to get more people to engage with you. But I do use like a preview app, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But that way I can plan out my post at the beginning of the week, which I haven't done the best job at recently, but I'm trying to. But that way you can at least have it planned, and then you can just go and post yourself. So what is important? Consistency and showing up, getting to know the person behind the for sale sign, and becoming familiar and relatable. Consistency and showing up, pick what you're gonna do. So for instance, I try my best to show up about 3 times a week in my Instagram post, but then in my Instagram stories, I try and show up for a minute, which is 4 15-second clips. Trust me, if you do that, people are more likely to engage with you. They want to see people that are posting more consistently, and Instagram rewards you for being consistent. Getting to know the person behind the for sale sign. I mean, my Instagram handle is Taylor Holmes. They know that I'm dealing with real estate. So something I like to do is show behind the scenes. So this morning I showed, and most mornings I show that I have my morning coffee, and I give them a little overview of what I'm doing for the day. That way they get to know me. Maybe I'm more relatable. I can add a poll like asking what their favorite coffee is. Do they like Starbucks or Dunkin' better? And then that way everybody that responds to that poll, you can go and have a conversation with them in messages. A lot of what I'm doing is in Instagram messages from what I'm posting. Becoming familiar and more relatable is like pick things that are you, that are your brand, that then you can get other people to relate to. I mean, outside of having COVID, I'm having withdrawals right now, but I used to go to Target every single day. So I would post about it, joke about it, and I get people that will message me videos of like little girls dancing in Target, and they're like, this is how we picture you. But I'm becoming more relatable because other people like Target too. So pick different things. I like Coke over Pepsi. Well, that's something that's me. But pick things that are relatable to you. I show my dogs on there. and just different things like that. Another way of being consistent is your branding and your aesthetic. This is not super important, but I think it helps because it makes your page a little bit more visually appealing. So I recommend picking 3 fonts for your brand, which is you, a heading, a subheading, and a body text, and using those fonts on everything. Everything you see here, I'm working on incorporating. So my email signature and stuff like that isn't updated yet, but I'm going to make everything reflect that. Pick about 4 to 6 colors that you stick with on everything. You can change them out seasonally on your Instagram page to try and fit more with the vibe of the season. But like in my case, I lean more towards the darker colors in winter, but I still want like a light and airy. I want people to feel happy when they see my page. I don't want it to be very dark, but that's just my opinion. And these are just things that I think help. I also use the Preview app. It has, if you pay for their service, they have presets, so you can make all of your photos look very similar, and you can plan out your page before you post it to Instagram, so you can see your past post and your future post. The big question on when should I post, and the answer is it depends for each person. If you have an Instagram account, you can either do a business or a creator account. I do a creator account, but that's because with Reels, I want music, and the business account won't let you have it. Basically, they're pretty much the exact same thing, except for if you have a creator account, a third party can't post for you. If you have like an assistant posting for you, then you can have a creator account and still have them post, but it won't let like a third party automated post for you. But I recommend creator, just it gives you more options. It shows like my insights. Most of my people are more active around 9 p.m. at night. My goal typically is to post first thing in the morning. That way I'm getting people that look at their phone in the morning. I'm also there and active when people check on like their lunch break. And then at night, I'm still there, and hopefully I've shared in my stories throughout the day that they're still going back and engaging with my page. But it's different for everybody. You can just check your insights and see when people are more active.
Is the type of account something you can change?
Yes, you can go back and forth however you want. It's in your settings. I can show you how to do that too. The lovely algorithm with Instagram. It is constantly changing. Like I said earlier, if you play their game by adding in, for instance, I don't do all of these things, but I do try and do reels every once in a while. Typically my reels get over 1,000 views, which is more than most of my posts get. But that's because when they have a reel, they're posting it on the Explore page. It's on your feed. You can remove it from your feed if you want to. And it's on the Reels page. So there's more places that Reels can be seen. So it's not hindering my other activity, but they are rewarding me for doing that. Next is carousel pictures. So on your post, you can either post one picture or you can post multiple. Instagram likes it when you post multiple, and the reason for that is if you're not getting a lot of engagement on the first picture, then they want to see why. So they might share your picture with the second photo and just see what's getting more views. So that's something I'm incorporating more. I don't do every single post, but I am trying to mess around and see what gets more activity. Stories, I try and post at least a minute every day, which is just 4 posts, sharing behind the scenes, what I'm doing, anything like that. I do share a room of the day most days, and it's really cool because people are recognizing that and engaging with that a lot. And now people send me rooms of the day for me to highlight as well. So then I can tag them in it and say, like, thanks for sharing. So then maybe they repost it and things like that. Then Instagram TV and face to camera and guides are things that you can do as well to play with Instagram's algorithm. So my takeaway and advice, probably my favorite quote from Chelsea Peterson is, your career is content. So run with it and leverage the crap out of it. People watch HGTV all the time. They scroll through Zillow photos. They look at DIY projects. They look at houses, even when they're not looking to buy a house. So you've got the content at your fingertips that people want to see. So share that. Share behind the scenes. They don't believe that HGTV is real. So make sure you're not portraying that it is. Show them the real deal, and that way, when they're ready to do the process, they're not surprised. And they're like, well, you portrayed it this way. Well, just try and show the real behind the scenes, and I think people engage with that a lot more.
So what are some ideas for that? Like I'm envisioning like having listing sheets spread all over your desk, or like opening a crawl space door, or I mean, kind of any suggestions there?
Yeah, so I kind of like all of it. I guess one story about showing like the real behind the scenes that I did. I'm not the best at taking pictures at showings, especially not when I'm with clients. If I do more like virtual showings, I'm more likely to show that. But after one showing, I'm definitely terrified of spiders. And it was myself with another couple. And so they were looking at a house. The wife was getting eaten by mosquitoes, so she went inside, and the husband and I went to go check the crawl space. So I opened the crawl space door, and hundreds is probably dramatic, at least 30 large, what I pictured as jumping spiders, went everywhere. I took off screaming across the lawn. The husband freaked out. He didn't know what was happening, but then he went to the crawl space to see more. The wife sees me run across, but I got on Instagram after and said, this is what just happened. Like, it's real estate's not always fun and beautiful. Then to find out they weren't spiders at all, they were cricket spiders. But it's something that like those clients were able to joke around about. And then at the end, I was like, wasn't even spiders at all. Like, here's what was actually there. But it just shows that I'm a real person doing my job. So I like to share different things like that. Even with, I had a closing yesterday, and I'm in quarantine. So it was sort of the cherry on top of a cake for a client's crazy experience with buying a house. The seller wanted to back out. The buyer wanted to proceed with it. We pushed closing back. Now it's seller possession after closing. But I was like, okay, ready, buckle up. Here's my story. And I told the whole thing with my client's permission. But they loved it. I was telling their story, and it's something that they can go back to. And the great thing about sharing your closings is Instagram's going to tell you what happened a year ago. So you have multiple options. You can share that post, or what I like, you can message that post to your clients and say, like, congrats, 1 year anniversary, then they can share it. Then once they share it, they tag you in it, and then you can post, and maybe they've said great, kind words about you. If they haven't, maybe don't share it, but hopefully then you're sharing their words on top of that story, which is even better. So that's pretty much everything I got. Anybody have questions?
So I have a question for you, and if you touched on it, then I'm sorry. Some of the stuff, like, I mean, even just the slides that you've created here. So when you're posting stuff that isn't a picture of you, or even if it is and you have something overlaid, are you using Canva to create this stuff?
Yeah, so this presentation, well, my time with Wasserman, everything we did was on PowerPoint, so I got very comfortable with that. I like Canva a lot better. Most of the things I create are in Canva. I will say when making like your brand guide, if you have Canva Pro, I highly recommend it. You can upload your 3 preferred fonts in there, and it's a lot easier to use them. They'll put them in their own section. You can upload your brand colors, which I just went to Pinterest and said I wanted like blush and gray tones. And so it came up with colors, and then I just uploaded them into Canva. That way everything's staying consistent. But I do use Canva Pro.
And Canva Pro is how much? Do you remember?
I think you can do like $100 a year, or it's like $10 or $10 a month.
Yeah,
like that.
So it ends up being like $8, $8.50 a month if you pay a year in advance.
Yeah.
And that gives you some extra tools and more images you can use and that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, and that's, I was like, Canva Pro gives you the ability to like cut out and remove backgrounds. It gives you more photos. It gives you more fonts. You can add your brand guides there. You can resize. So I typically make everything in like an Instagram post, but then I can resize to Instagram story and just have to adjust a few things. So I highly recommend having it. I make all my postcards in there. I'm working on my listing sign in there, just everything.
Good. I think Amber just commented and said she thinks it's $12.95 a month or $120 a year. So that price could have gone up because I think it was $100 or $99 when I paid for it. And then we have another question from Wendy. Is your Instagram account linked to your Facebook page?
Yes, it is. So I share typically straight from my Instagram to Facebook. If it's like a new listing, I'll do it a little bit differently because I can add in a link to KV Core to get more leads off of it for Facebook. But I try not to post it at the exact same time. There's occasions that I will, but Facebook lets you have hashtags now, which is great. But then if you tag anybody's handles on Instagram, it might not translate to Facebook, but once you share it, you can go and edit it, which is what I do quite often. But I don't have the best engagement on my Facebook business account. So something that I've found is once I share it on my Facebook business account, I share it from my personal account then too, because then I get more people's eyes on it and more people to engage with it.
Cool. We got some additional questions I'll go through. Can your stories be moved to highlights?
Yes, they can. After you post it, anytime you want to, you can go and add it to your highlights. And then your highlights save every story in like a back room, I guess, like a back cloud. So like I could go to my testimonial highlight right now or any of my highlights and click add to story, and you can view every single story that you've previously posted and add it to your highlight.
Awesome. All right, from Andrew, can you talk about your top 1 to 3 most engaged with posts? So I guess your top successful posts.
So my most engaged post period is I said that I was out of debt. I had over 2,000 people reached by this. I had 11 people that shared it or messaged it to someone, 3 people that bookmarked it and saved it for later. 108 people viewed my profile from seeing it, and I had 163 comments and 360 likes on it. That's been my most engaged post, but I went into detail about me, like how real estate helped me get there, but also where I came from and like what it meant to me. So I was very honest and upfront with it. Sorry. My most engaged posts typically have either myself or some of my clients in it. My least engaged posts are probably my market updates that I do monthly. It's a graphic that I pull stuff from the MLS. But I still think that they're important to show, even though they're not getting the engagement that necessarily some of the other ones will. I do different guides to like get people's email addresses as well. So I'm doing this 12-month checklist, which basically if you get my email newsletter, I send out each month, here's some homeowner tips, which are basically like dust your ceiling fan, recaulk around your sink, or just different little homeowner tasks. So I made it into each month, and it's a little checklist so they can print a front and back page and just put it on their refrigerator. So I've gotten a lot of engagement from that post. It's not nearly as much as my out of debt, but I've had more people message me, which in turn gives me their email address where I can stay in front of them, add them to my newsletter, and then just stay top of mind even more.
Awesome. Okay, a couple more questions here. Do you do any snail mail to your sphere, or is it all social media?
I do. I send postcards. I send postcards. My goal last year was to do a monthly postcard, and it ended up probably being a quarterly postcard. So my postcards I do to a portion of Headingham where I live, and then I send it out to my sphere and past clients. So I do that. I do like end of year letters. I send them my Christmas cards. I don't send my Headingham community my Christmas card, but I send like my sphere and past clients that, just to stay top of mind. I probably don't send as much, but I do try and do, I guess, quarterly postcards.
Okay. All right, your training is excellent. What is the next step to implement these Instagram techniques? Are there additional teaching videos, or is this training recorded? This training is recorded. It will be on our intranet hopefully by the end of the day. But any other stuff? I know you mentioned a couple things at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, no, I guess I don't have anything that's like next steps. I'm happy to help in any way. I know there's a few people that I've sort of, I don't know the proper term for it, but I've looked at their Instagram pages and given suggestions on what I think I would do to update it and enhance it. I have made like PowerPoint brand guides that pull fonts that I see you leaning towards and other things. So I'm happy to help with that. I think following Chelsea Peterson, following Modern Agent, another person that I really like her Instagram advice is Chelsea Peets. She also has a book on, I think it's called What to Post. I haven't finished reading it, but I do have it. But I'm happy to send out any of these people that oh, there's the book, Megan. So they're just some people that I follow on Instagram that I feel like they have a real estate background, or at least have content and advice for agents. So I think there are some good people to follow.
Awesome. As we're talking about this, I'm taking a photo of the screen. Okay. All right. Any tips on how to increase followers? Are sponsored ads important to increase followers?
Yeah, so I have never paid for an Instagram ad. I've never paid for Instagram marketing. I think the best way to grow your followers, something that I do is like search hashtags. So for instance, on all of my posts, I share hashtag Raleigh Realtor, hashtag Wake County Realtor. If some of my stuff relates back to my blog, then I'll do like Raleigh Blogger, but go through and like search hashtags. If you're trying to find certain people, look up like Raleigh Blogger, Raleigh Photographer, Raleigh, like different things related, and you can start following people there. Go through and engage with them. Like 5 of their recent posts. If they have stories, go on their stories, message them, like, but don't make it like creepy and salesy, because then they're more likely to ignore you. But I mean, if they had Chick-fil-A for lunch, you can say like, oh man, now I'm craving Chick-fil-A, like just something like natural. In doing that, like I've gained friends, I guess you could say. I wanted to do a giveaway that dealt with home organization. So I randomly messaged this girl who does Raleigh home organizing. Her name's Katie Ann Foy. And I asked her if she wanted to be part of my giveaway and help, and I would tag her in social content. I think this was back in September. She was already working with an agent, but she was fine with getting like free promotion. So I tagged her in all of my posts. I did a giveaway. Giveaways have been probably where I gained the most followers. I did one with Nosh Raleigh, which is like a charcuterie board. Back when I hit 1,000 followers. They're also Brian's neighbor. And so I did a giveaway with them. That gained a lot of followers as well. But then even with Katie Ann, we developed a relationship and we've gone to lunch together. So now anybody that she knows looking for real estate, she's sending them my way. And then all of my buyers, when they close, I have a 15% off coupon for her services that go just tucked into my basket. Because who doesn't need help organizing your house when you're in the middle of a move? So it was like a good relationship, but that was built solely off of reaching out to a random person on Instagram and like getting to know them and not trying to sell them. I don't know if that helps answer.
I'm glad you said charcuterie board and not me. I never know how to say that, so. Looks like one more question. Are you using any additional hardware or equipment aside from your phone for your content?
I have my lovely ring light.
I need one of those.
So with that, it has a Bluetooth remote. So I bought it, I think it was like $30 off Instagram or off Amazon. I broke my first one from tripping on it running up the stairs, to make sure you compile it back down. But I use that. It hooks up Bluetooth on your phone, so I just take all of my stuff that way. Next week, I'm actually getting brand photos done by a photographer here in Raleigh. She mainly does sport photography. We met somewhat through the hurricanes, so hoping that goes well, but she's trying to get into real estate, so I figured it was a good relationship to start. But yeah.
Awesome. All right, I think that is everything. Cool. Well, if nobody has any other questions, then we'll wrap it up. Taylor, thank you so much for joining us and devoting your time to helping everybody. And like you said, if people have questions, you know, offline or after this, Taylor's always happy to help. She's super passionate about this. So With that, thank you so much, guys. We'll have this video hopefully in the intranet by the end of the day. So if you want to watch it again or need to pick up a refresher of anything, it will be on there. Otherwise, that's it, guys. Thanks for joining us today. Bye.